So Coach, the new guys that are here, they're not new to basketball, but they're new to the Rick Barnes way of doing basketball.
Yeah.
What's that learning curve like for a young ball player?
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different. If you talk to all of them, I think to a man, they probably say some of the toughest things they've been through from a day-to-day just grind of it, but they love it, right? And that's the one thing with us through the recruiting process on everybody. We lay it out to them, like to be great, to do what you're trying to do is going to be hard, and so it's our job to prepare you for that and get you ready, and so all the guys appreciate it. It's fun for them, right? Because it's basketball, but it is a little different than I think each of them, whether they're coming from high school or coming from a different college, university, is accustomed to.
So some new players and a couple new coaches. What about integrating those guys into a staff that's been very successful in recent years?
Yeah, same thing. It's different for them as well. Both of those guys, Coach Morgan and Coach McLean, both of those guys have adjusted nicely, blended in nicely, and it always helps to have familiarity with those guys. Coaches known both of them, and so it makes that transition a little bit smoother.
How different is the depth you guys have down low compared to this time last summer when it was a lot of Cade and Felix taking all the reps?
Yeah, well, you know what? It feels like that right now still, since JP isn't in right now, and Jalen's kind of coming back slowly. So it's still those two guys banging around, but on paper, excited about it, right? Excited about it, and I think the best thing. These last 2 weeks about those two guys being out, obviously we want them in, is Dwayne Brown's able to get more reps, and as a freshman coming in, that development is going to be huge for him. To get these reps in practice is great.
Coach, this time of year's always been important, but has that been ramped up with the transfer portal and bringing in veterans the past couple of years? Has that made this time more crucial?
Yeah, it does from the standpoint of, especially from a coaching standpoint, and for Coach Barnes, is figuring out the new guys, how they learn, what makes them go, how they're going to react to adversity, what exactly it is that they do at a high level and where they need to improve in. And so like this summer is used to find all of that out that you can. How tough are they? How are they going to react to adversity? And so now that the summers have become even more important to getting to know your team, because you're bringing in so many new faces. And look, the last few years we've been lucky. We've had a core that's been intact, that's been here, that understands Tennessee and the culture that we've developed. And so now you're bringing in a lot of new faces that have to go through it and have to learn it.
Going off that, who have you seen kind of step up into a leadership role with Zakai and Jemai gone?
Leaderships in different ways, from how those guys led. And I'd say like Zakai and Jemai led different than Josiah and Santi and Uros did, right? But the guys that you kind of see stepping up, Cade, right? Cade has been here and he's been through it, and so he's a guy that has been more vocal. Felix, in his own way, his leadership is shining through with his day-to-day habits and just being around the guys and making sure everybody's included. And also JP. JP's been a guy that, although he's been injured and he's still working his way back, his voice has still been there. It's even louder. He's a great connector, and so just bringing the new guys in and showing him just doing things together. Whether it's going to softball games, baseball games, and just kind of hanging out. So all those three guys have done a great job of it, of stepping up. And in spurts you see Bishop, because although his role was limited last year, he knows what it looks like. And so in spurts you'll see him. But I'd say Cade, JP, and Felix have been the most vocal in stepping up in that role.
Where is JP from a basketball standpoint as he works himself back in full time?
Not full time. He is, he is working his way back. Again, we want to be cautious with him. If I'm sure if needed right now, he probably could. But again, it's a long year, and you know, the most important thing is that he is 100% when he does come back. And so, you know, you see him doing some stuff on the court, some shooting, some full go workouts a little bit. He's on the treadmill running, and so we feel really good about where he is right now from that recovery. And Chad and Garrett, they both done a great job with him, helping him on that recovery.
What stands out about guys like Amari Evans and now kind of getting those first couple of like workouts and practices under their belt?
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of those guys, you know, just the thing I think glaring for them is like the conditioning you have to be in to do what we do, you know, to play with intensity and force on both sides of the basketball. The intensity levels that, you know, that are different from high school. And so I think if you ask those two guys, I think things that would stand out would be the intensity and just the overall physical condition that you have to be in.
Have you maybe had those conversations with them where you're like, this isn't high school anymore? Like, or maybe
I don't think you. I think I don't think you have to like gotta tell them. They know. You know, it's like, man, coach, this is hard. Like, this is the toughest thing I've ever done. Or you talk to their coaches and their circle from back home and say, yeah, man, he said this is like really, you know, this is tough. You know, and so. Yeah, so it's not necessarily like you having to tell them. They know it, and you know that it's a standard that we got to get to, and that's what they signed up for.
Coach, understanding, you know, he's only been here for 3 weeks, but obviously native net comes in with a ton of hype. Just initial impressions once he's been in the gym, in the college gym.
Yeah, you know, Nate is an unbelievable kid. You know, or young man, should I say? I'm sorry. You know, and the things that stand out about him. What his character is just, you know, unbelievable, off the charts. His ability to pick things up like quickly, whether you tell him one time or he watches the group in front of him. He has a high basketball IQ and an attention span to where he can lock in and focus in on things and pick it up rather quickly. You know, on the court, I would just say his versatility. You know, his ability to you know, score at all 3 levels. His size and his length make him really unique, and with his skill set. And so it's been fun, you know, it's been fun. But he's also a guy too, right? Coming out of high school, the intensity and the toughness of everything is, you know, you feel the difference of it, you know, and he feels it. And so he'll tell you, man, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. But he's a guy that's determined, and you know, he's gonna make it. He loves those challenges, you know, and it just motivates him more.
Where's Jacoby at in kind of learning everything that goes into running this offense and everything Rick asked out of his point guards?
What was the question?
Where's Jacoby at and kind of learning everything that goes into running this offense and everything Rick asked out of point guards?
Yeah, he's picking it up. He's picking it up. Again, we've only been going. This is week 3. So nobody has everything kind of figured out, but you know, Jacoby is so naturally gifted and talented. There'll be some things that he can improvise on. He can make plays on that, you know, may break off the offense a little bit, and coach is okay with it. You know, coach is okay with him. You know, putting his own twist on it, his own spin on it. So he's doing great, and he's picking things up quickly.
What's your favorite part about being back in the gym with the guys?
That's a good question. You know, just hanging out with them. You know, probably more so the time off the court than on the court. You know, because when we don't have practice, you know, you don't really see them a lot, just because they got so many other things going on with classes and weights and all of that. But it's the time before and after practice you get to hang out with them and joke around and do all those things.
Coach, have you guys talked about the proposed rule change with the coach's challenge for out of bounds and all that kind of stuff? And
not yet.
And so are you worried that coach might burn it in the first 2 minutes?
No, I don't think so. You know, I do think it puts a lot of pressure on Luke Shapker, who sits behind the bench, and he's kind of the iPad guy, and so it's going to ramp up the pressure intensity on him. But no, we haven't talked to the guys about it. We usually wait until we bring the officials in and let them kind of go over all the new rules with them and everything.
It's a little weird being back in here without Jordan on the team.
It is different. It is a little different, and you know, from you know a parent standpoint, you know, I was lucky the last 2 years because you got to see them every day, you know, and when your kids leave the house, it is weird. It is different when they go away for college, and you know, so the first 2 years I kind of got used to it, but then the next 2 years when I had a chance to see them every day, you know, you just kind of you appreciate it. And now that that's not the case, it's just different. You know, I was telling my wife that the other night. It's like, man, you know, so I find myself calling them every night just to check in and see what's going on. But yeah, it is a little different.
Anything else? Coach, I know you guys have a lot of bodies in the post this year, but what about Felix Akpara's offensive game, advancing it and making it more well-rounded this year?
Yeah, just continuing to improve it, you know, and look, you won't be able to improve everything at once, but you know, just fine tuning some small details on, you know, positioning and angles and you know, and just all those little details is what we're kind of focusing on with him. And he's done a great job of it, and he is a guy that, you know, wants to do more, wants to be able to do more down there from an offensive standpoint, right? He's already feel like one of the best, if not the best, post defender in the country, right? And so that next piece is continuing to add to his offensive game, and that's what we're looking to do this summer. And so, you know, putting him in different places on the court, you know, allowing him to play through more mistakes and to be more aggressive inside, I think will continue to help him grow his game. And the summer is the time to do that.
Thanks, Coach.